You are a human child. You don't know your name yet. You don't understand what a family is. You don't know what a mother is. You don't know what a father is. You open your eyes, and there are faces around you. Some of them feed you, some of them carry you, some of them disappear and come back later. But here's a strange question. Did ancient humans actually know who their parents were? At first, the answer seems obvious. Of course they did. Your mother gives birth to you, your father helps raise you, end of story. But the deeper you go into human history, the stranger that answer becomes. Because if you remove birth certificates, surnames, hospitals, DNA tests, and everything modern society uses to define family, the idea of knowing exactly who your parents are becomes much more complicated than most people realize. Imagine a human camp 50,000 years ago. There are no houses, no fences, no private bedrooms. Just a small group of people gathered around a fire. Children run between adults. Babies are carried from one pair of arms to another. Food is shared. Work is shared. Survival is shared. And something immediately stands out. Children are not being raised by just two people. They are being raised by everyone. This is where ancient human life starts to look very different from modern life. Today, most children grow up in small family units, usually a mother, a father, and their children. But for most of human history, that wasn't how life worked. Humans evolved in small hunter-gatherer groups where survival depended on cooperation. Every member of the group had a role to play, and when it came to raising children, that responsibility was spread across many people. The reason for this begins with a simple problem. Human babies are incredibly helpless. A newborn deer can stand within hours. A baby horse can run on the same day it is born. Even chimpanzees can cling to their mothers almost immediately. Human babies can do none of these things. They cannot walk. They cannot feed themselves. They cannot protect themselves. They cannot survive alone for even a short time. And the reason is your brain. Human brains are enormous compared to our bodies. If babies stayed in the womb until their brains were fully developed, their heads would be too large to pass through the birth canal. So evolution found a compromise. Humans are born earlier than they ideally should be. In a sense, every human baby is born unfinished. A huge amount of development happens after birth rather than before it. But that creates a problem. If babies are born helpless, someone has to take care of them. Not for a few days or weeks, for years. This is why many anthropologists believe one of humanity's greatest survival advantages was something called cooperative child-rearing. Instead of one mother doing everything alone, entire groups helped raise children. Grandmothers helped, older siblings helped, aunts and uncles helped, even unrelated adults often helped. In other words, ancient humans may have survived not because they had great parents, but because they had great communities. This changes the question completely. Instead of asking, "Who are my parents?" ancient children may have been asking something much simpler without even realizing it. Who takes care of me? Because from a child's perspective, that is what really matters. Of course, mothers were usually easier to identify. Birth is visible. Everyone can see who gave birth to a child. But fathers are different. Before modern science, there was no way to prove fatherhood with certainty. And in some ancient societies, relationships were not always structured the way they are today. Anthropologists studying traditional hunter-gatherer groups have found that biological fatherhood was sometimes less important than social fatherhood. The man who protected the child, fed the child, taught the child, and stayed with the group might matter far more than genetics. In fact, some societies developed beliefs that multiple men could contribute to the creation of a child. To us, that sounds scientifically impossible, but it reveals something important. Many cultures cared less about biological certainty and more about social responsibility. And perhaps that makes sense. Imagine living in a dangerous world filled with predators, disease, accidents, and constant uncertainty. A child's survival depends on as many people as possible being invested in keeping that child alive. If multiple adults feel responsible, the child has a better chance of surviving. This idea appears again and again throughout human history. Researchers studying hunter-gatherer societies today often find that children form strong emotional bonds with many caregivers. They do not rely exclusively on one person. Instead, they grow up surrounded by a network of support. From an evolutionary perspective, this may have been one of humanity's greatest inventions. Not farming, not writing, not cities, shared parenting. Because a group that successfully raises children is a group that survives into the next generation. There are even scientific theories suggesting that grandmothers played a major role in human evolution. One famous idea, known as the grandmother hypothesis, proposes that older women increase the survival chances of their grandchildren by helping care for them. Their knowledge, experience, and support may have allowed mothers to have more surviving children over time. Think about what that means. Your existence may depend not only on your parents, but on countless grandparents, aunts, uncles, siblings, and caregivers stretching back thousands of generations. If even one link in that chain had failed, you would not be here. And when we look at ancient childhood, something becomes clear. Human children were almost never alone. They were carried close to adults. They slept near adults. They ate with adults. They learned by watching adults. Their world was filled with constant human contact. Modern life often feels very different. Many families live far from relatives. Parents frequently raise children with little help from extended family. Childcare becomes the responsibility of only one or two exhausted adults. Compared to the way humans lived for most of history, that arrangement is surprisingly unusual. The ancient solution to raising children was not independence, it was connection. The more people who cared about a child, the better that child's chances of survival. So did ancient humans know who their parents were? The answer is yes, but probably not in the way we think about it today. They almost certainly knew who gave birth to them. They probably knew who protected them, fed them, and stayed closest to them. But they also lived in a world where many people shared the responsibility of keeping children alive. To an ancient child, family may have been less about biology and more about belonging. Because when you are small, helpless, and completely dependent on others, the most important question is not who created you. The most important question is who shows up when you need them. And maybe that is the real story hidden deep within human history. For most of our species' existence, children did not survive because of one mother or one father alone. They survived because entire groups carried them through the most fragile years of life. The ancient humans had no hospitals, no birth certificates, no DNA tests, and no way to prove exactly who every father was. What they had was each other. And for hundreds of thousands of years, that was enough.